Future. Boom. Metro Boomin. Boom. We still don't trust you. Boom, boom, boom. I've got to admit, going into this one, I was cautious. Not just because it has the runtime of a feature-length film, but also because I saw some people making comparisons between this album and Hendrix. And, I know at this point what kind of sound I like to hear from Future, and Hendrix is about the furthest thing from it. My expectations were definitely not the highest. And I'm not gonna lie, my first listen to this project, I got about halfway through and I was just considering not finishing the album, just moving on, making videos about other stuff. Until I hit Gracious. Out of nowhere, the album just became a bit better for me, and that was a run that lasted for a few tracks. That small section of the album had me interested to come back around for another listen to see if the rest of the album could grow on me at all. And I'm glad that I came straight back for that re-listen. They said it could never be done, but I, the man who ranked Hendrix dead last in his Future discography ranking, somewhat enjoys this Future R&B style album. I still don't think R&B Future is great necessarily, but this has been the best that side of his music has sounded to me generally. It stands out to me especially when he works with other R&B artists on here and they add some extra layers to the track with their backing vocals. Whether it's The Weeknd on the title track and Always Be My Fault, Chris Brown on Drink and Dance, and Ty Dolla $ign on Gracious, they specialize in R&B, so they help enhance the tracks beautifully. Speaking of The Weeknd, that man is involved in one of my absolute highlights on here, All to Myself. The Weeknd put some little, what could be interpreted to be Drake disses in there, because I guess that's just what happens on Metro Boomin and Future albums now. The beat is absolutely mesmerizing with those synths that just talk me through it, man. And Future matches the vibe of the production so well. I'm feeling better, I knew it was you. You try to leave, catch an asthma attack. Time that we spend, we gon' cherish it. Need you on the right side. Need you on the right side. Need you on the right side. These niggas always yapping. I promise that I got your back. And on the aforementioned Always Be My Fault with The Weeknd, I feel like Future's vocals were noticeably a bit more expressive during the hook. It was a nice surprise. It's gonna always be my fault. This pick me up in my fault. Some of the solo Future stuff here is nice too. For example, there's Jealous, which to me almost feels like one of the smoother songs from Pluto 3D or Honest, but way more highly produced and polished, and it sounds great. That's a favorite of mine on here. The sampling is a really nice touch too. You're not supposed to take advantage. I feel abandoned. Mile High Memories is hilarious in the right way. The vocals are smooth, the beat is slick, and You Can Fuck on Him as long as you think about me is classic toxic Future. And of course, I have to mention one of the more non-R&B collab songs on here, Red Leather, which hilariously features J. Cole after all the Like That drama from We Don't Trust You, but it is a pretty good song. Despite being nearly 7 minutes long, I feel like it carries its length fairly well, with a smooth verse from Future and Cole giving a clean, well-written feature. It was kind of funny to hear Cole comparing his love life to Future's and how he managed to settle down with one woman as he got older. Pluto got 20 girlfriends, damn I'm doing it wrong. Cut off all my hoes, now I'm only putting you on a song. But it's not all perfect. Make no mistake, I like this more than I thought I would, but there are still some duds on here. Right For You is a next level stinker. R&B Future done absolutely wrong. He's unnecessarily loud, the beat feels messy, the flow on the verses feels wrong, just bad. I'm trying to get right, I'm trying to get right, I'm trying to get right for you. I'm trying to get right, I'm tripping it right. I don't hate Love Bad Bitches, but that hook is sort of hilariously bad to me. But then again, I've wrote it down here as a track that I'm not crazy about, but I do keep coming back to it, so maybe it's supposed to be a kind of funny hook, and I'm finding it entertaining in the right way. I'm having a fucking revelation in the middle of the review right here. I think I actually maybe like Love Bad Bitches. The verses aren't as great though.
I like good girls, I like good girls, yeah, but I love bad bitches.
This Sunday has a nice moment with the you know part during the hook, but the mixing of the vocals on it just makes me like it less than I want to. It basically keeps the vocal filter that you hear on the intro of the song for the whole thing, and it makes it feel like it never really gets started. It feels like a constant intro to a track. The amazing interlude is pretty pointless, and I'm pretty sure it's not even a studio recording of Future rapping. It sounds like it's audio taken from an iPhone video of Future rapping. Out of My Hands isn't necessarily bad, but it's one that I find boring just due to how low-key it is. I prefer the songs that do a little bit more with their sound. Nights Like This misses vocally, especially during the hook, and it's one that I just don't find very interesting, even with a decent rap verse at the end. I think the main takeaway here is that R&B Future still isn't perfect or the best thing ever to me, but I have ended up enjoying We Still Don't Trust You more than I expected. Now, of course, there is another man who is a lead artist on this project, so let's switch over for a little bit to focus more specifically on the production. If you've seen my written review for We Don't Trust You, I never got around to making a video review for it, unfortunately, you'll know that I felt that Metro's beats were high quality, well produced, but a little bit too clean and polished for an album that is supposed to be trap bangers. Just like a little bit more grittiness would have added some more edge to those beats. However, on this album, where it's an R&B influenced project and everything is supposed to be super polished and clean and smooth sounding, it absolutely works. I really like a lot of what Metro does on here. In particular, I have to point out the sample work on Beat It. That one just sounds so good. It almost feels like something that I'd expect to hear Lupe Fiasco over, so hearing it on a Future track was pretty cool.
Yeah. Put up. That look up bring out who you is, who you are. I go off and tell her beat it. Yeah.
I enjoy a lot more of the production on here than I dislike. Even some of the tracks that I don't like overall, I still like the beats on them. But I will say one small problem that I started to notice around track number 9, Nights Like This, is that a lot of the drum patterns / sounds started to feel fairly similar. Not as, you know, I don't have producer ear or anything like that, but just as a listener, I feel like it started to feel a little bit repetitive drums-wise as it went on. Something that would be more disguised with less tracks, I'm just saying. I mean, Tay Keith is salivating at the constant hi-hats on here. Not a huge issue, just a minor one that's made a little bit more obvious by the amount of songs. Now, you might be wondering why I haven't mentioned any of the Disc 2 stuff yet, and that's because I kind of consider that to be its own thing. Everything that I've said so far has just applied to the 18 main tracks on We Still Don't Trust You. I consider Disc 2 as more of a bonus track type deal that doesn't factor as much into my final rating. And it's not much of a bad thing that it doesn't, despite me for the most part having trap banger Future over R&B Future. I have to be honest, Disc 2 is just alright to me. It's got some great production, but Future's performances are pretty boring on at least half of them. I had this issue with We Don't Trust You a bit too. I don't really like it a lot of the time when Future does that sort of lazy, casual sounding flow. Often it's just boring to me. All My Life is the worst offender, even adding a weak Lil Baby feature at the end to make sure that there was zero chance of it being good.
What's that total all in ice? I can mention her name, make her celebrity overnight.
All my life been served, never my life been worried about none of these niggas. All my traps still current.
Nobody Knows My Struggle is a really good one. Everything lines up just right on there. Show of Hands is enjoyable enough, and Crazy Clientele has a solid haunting vibe to it, especially with that outro, but every other track on disc 2, I could do without. Like I said, due to it being presented as disc 2 and clearly its own thing compared to disc 1, I'm gonna factor it into my overall rating, but it doesn't play a huge part in it. So as a final score, I'm gonna go with a 6.5 out of 10 for We Still Don't Trust You by Future and Metro. I enjoyed this more than I thought I would, even if it's not perfect. It being over 20 plus tracks does make it a bit of a pain to listen to, which does lower my score for it a bit, but overall, I did enjoy this one more than We Don't Trust You, which I really didn't expect considering that that is the more rap focused one of the two. Future is just boring to me on a lot of We Don't Trust You, I'm sorry, he's better to me on here. So with that being said, let me know down in the comments below how you feel about We Don't Trust You and We Still Don't Trust You. I'm sure plenty of you will have the first one above this one. You can click on the screen right here to check out my last video about the Drake diss track that leaked related to all this Future and Metro Boomin stuff, and thank you for watching. Much love to my Patreon supporters and channel members over there, with a special shout out to I Am Regent, KWG13270, Lucas1123, and Not Vimpen.